All right, class, this is going to be the second of 3 videos that are going to be back to back to back for when we're talking about interest. Now, here's where I do actually have a slide for you to follow, which is going to be your slide number. I want you to do slide number 10 first. I like to go in the order of face, discount, and premium. For some reason, when I did these slides years ago, I mixed up the order between 9 and 10. So please go to slide number 10 for me first, and you'll see the information that we're working on. Now, slide number 10 goes hand in hand with slide number slide 10, and then it would be slide 13. So I want you to go to slide 13 first, and we'll flip back between 13 and 10. So if you take a look at slide 13, this is going to be the explanation and the description on how to go about preparing the interest entry for a bond at a discount. Okay, so this one's going to be at a discount for you. So the first thing I want you guys to look at is, number one, the information for the company is the same. It's a $200,000 bond. It's got 9% interest. It's a 5-year bond. Now, that's going to play a part. But keep in mind, we only use the interest entry one time. The P times R times T, you only calculate that one time. And that's when you do the interest entry at face value, which we've already done. The key here is we do have to use the 5-year piece of information here, but that's going to be for a different reason. So please, this is the spot where students make the biggest problems and have the worst record of getting confused. So please pay close attention to this section here. I'm going to try to make it as easy and understandable as possible, but just please pay attention, because it's imperative and it's going to be the most helpful thing for you if you can get this straight. Now, there was a slide with the 2 rules on there that I gave you. Rule 1 was bonds payable will be the same in all 3 entries. Rule 2 goes along with all the interest entries, and that's what we're working on now. And Rule 2 states that the amount of cash when doing an interest entry will stay the same. So when we did our face value interest entry, it was a debit to interest expense and a credit to cash for $9,000 each. Now, we're going to go along the same pretenses as that. We're still paying interest expense, so we're going to have a debit to interest expense. We're going to have a credit to cash, because we're doing the same thing, just under a different situation. And here's where it's going to start to differ. Now, you have 2 of the 3 accounts you need for this entry. You know that your cash amount is going to stay the same, so you could plug the amount of cash in at any point. You know, with the example that we're using with the slides, the amount of cash in the face value was $9,000. The amount of cash in the discount entry is going to be $9,000. Now, here's where it starts to vary. Here's where the word amortization comes in. Amortization is taking an amount and spreading it out equally over a period of time. What we have to amortize in this situation is we have to take the amount of the bond discount and we have to amortize that. So if you look back at your issuance entry for your bond discount, you had a bond discount on slide 10 of a debit for $10,000. So we have to spread that $10,000 over the life of this bond. Because at the end of the time frame, at the end of the 5 years, we have to pay this money back to the people that we borrowed it from. That's the whole point of a bond. You're borrowing money for a period of time. So in this case, we have $10,000 that we have to spread out over the life of this loan or this bond. So here's how you go about doing that. You can see step 1 says calculate cash, which we already done. I've given you the easy rule. Cash will be the same. So once you figure it out for the face value, it's going to stay the same for the discount and it's going to stay the same for the premium. So first thing you should do is credit cash for the $9,000. So everybody understand that. The next step is we have to spread that $10,000 bond discount out over the number of times that we're going to pay interest over the life of this loan. Now, here's where it gets tricky. This example has a 5-year bond. Now, for those of you that are saying, okay, just divide 10 into 5, no. How many times are we paying interest every year? If we pay interest twice a year, we're paying interest twice a year. And over 5 years, that means we're paying interest how many times? Multiply 2 times 5. So in other words, we're going to make 10 payments to the bondholder. So that's the key piece of information that you need to understand. We're going to be making 10 periodic payments of interest to the bondholder over the life of this loan. Now, if we want to equally divide those payments up, that's what amortization is equally dividing the payments over a period of time. So if you go back to your slide 10, you'll see that bond discount was $10,000 debit. To get rid of a debit, you need to do a credit. So first thing I want you to do is go to your new entry, and under your cash, because you should have it set up already, where you have interest expense as a debit, cash is going to be credited, and then right below cash, I want you to write bond discount. If you write it above it, that's fine, as long as you understand that the bond discount in this entry is going to be a credit, not a debit like the issuance. You got to make sure that you understand the difference between when we issue the bond and when we pay interest on the bond. So now you're going to take that bond discount from the initial entry, the issuance entry of $10,000, and you're going to divide that by the number of payments that we're going to make. So 10,000 divided by 10 equals $1,000, meaning we are going to make 10 $1,000 payments over the life of this bond. So your first interest entry is going to be what it shows you at the bottom of the slide. You're going to debit interest expense. Don't put a number in there yet. Just leave it as interest expense. Credit cash for $9,000. Put that number in because you already know that number. You're going to go back to your initial entry and see that you have a bond discount debit. So to get rid of the debit, you're going to need to do a credit. So you're going to go ahead and put bond discount credit. Now you just did the calculation. 10,000 divided by 10 gives you $1,000. So you're going to go ahead and take that $1,000 and you're going to credit the bond discount. So right now, if you look at your journal entry, you should have 2 credits and you do not have a debit amount yet. Right? You have a blank. You should have a blank one there. How do you get your debit amount? You make your journal entry balance. So your 2 credits is 9,000 and 1,000. If you add the 2 of them together, that gives you 10,000. Okay? So your journal entry should look like you see the one here. Now, on this slide, it also gives you step 1, step 2, step 3. If you want to follow along with those, you can go ahead and do that also. I usually find it easier for me to explain it to you than it is to try to follow a slide doing that or trying to read it and do it. Now, keep in mind, play this slide over if you did not understand or you missed a piece of that. Okay? Bond discount in the issuance was a debit, so to get rid of the debits, you need to credit it. And we did not do the P times R times T again. We only did it once. And that is something that students seem to make a mistake with all the time, is that they seem to do that P times R times T every single time. You don't need to. You only need to do that P times R times T one time. That's it, one time. So please, 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 please make that distinguishment And do not make that mistake, okay? Please keep that in mind. Now, one thing I'm going to point out to you, if you don't get this right away, I'm going to be putting up a homework assignment tonight. That homework assignment is also going to go along with a video. That video is going to be me doing a problem with you that you can follow along. Then there's going to be 2 additional problems for you to do on your own. So do not get yourself worked up that, oh my God, he's only giving me a lecture on how to do it and then he's telling me to do it. I am going to go through a complete problem, step by step by step by step. And I'm going to show you what that problem looks like on a piece of paper that I would normally have put in, how I would write it, so that you will see what to expect and what's going to be expected of you guys. All right. So bear with me. Do not get yourselves worked up to the point where you're like ready to pull your hair out. This course is not meant to get you to that point. All right. So just bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and upload this video, and then I'm going to do the face value, and then I'm going to do the video for your homework assignment, and we'll get that out to you. And you will get emailed instructions about your homework assignment. So again, don't get all crazy. All right. Just bear with me and we'll get through this. All right. Signing off on this one.